Well, you're over 40 and you're thinking about going to law school. Is it worth it? Is it a good idea? Let's talk about it. All right, so first of all, going to law school is a challenge. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're right out of college or if you're over 40. It's challenging. And one of the reasons it's challenging is because it's different than any other undergraduate program that you might have attended. The structure, the way that they teach, the use of the Socratic method is different than what most universities and colleges have, and you have to adapt to that. So right off the bat, it's challenging. I'm not going to lie about it. It's challenging. But it can oftentimes be even more challenging when you're over 40, depending upon your family commitments, your work commitments, financial commitments, and other things. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. So let's start with one of the first things you have to consider, and that is your motivation. What is your motivation for going to law school? Arguably, you've been out of school for a while if you're over 40. So why do you want to go back? Maybe it's job advancement. Maybe you're in a profession where if you have that JD, a Juris Doctorate, that you might be able to advance, make more money, get a better position within your company. So that's one reason. Another reason is maybe you want to just change your career path. Maybe it's something that you've always thought about and never did it, and now you are at a point in your life where you're ready to make that change. So there's a number of reasons why somebody would be motivated over 40 to go to law school. So number one, you've got to figure out what is your motivation. Why do you want to do it? Is the reason that you're going compelling enough? Does it make sense for you to even consider going to law school? You know, reasons that you would not go to law school after 40 is a dare, pressure from family members or friends. Those are reasons not to go to law school. You know, another reason not to go to law school is because you think it's a get-rich-quick scheme. Not true. As a matter of fact, you're going to spend so much money on law school that you might not see a return on your investment for years. Getting rich, pressure from family and friends, definitely not the reasons to go to law school ever, but especially over 40. So figure out your motivation first. Now let's look at some challenges and considerations that you might have, especially over 40 going to law school. And right off the bat, the first thing that comes to mind is your family obligations, right? If you have a family, whether it's a spouse or children, how is going to law school going to impact your family dynamic? Are you going to miss out on your kids', sporting events or your daughter's dance recital? Are you not going to have time to spend with your husband? Are you going to have to miss out on parties and things with your friends? So that's a consideration you have to take into account. How does going to law school impact your family dynamic? And it's a broader discussion that you definitely need to have with your spouse and your family. Even if you have this strong desire to go to law school, I can't imagine having a family and not broaching that subject well in advance of making a decision. I can only imagine what sort of trouble it would create if you spring it on your family that, hey, I've decided to go back to school and I'm going to law school. So family considerations are one thing. The next thing is financial considerations. Where are you in your financial life? Have you saved a lot of money and now you're going to spend $200,000 on law school? What happens to your savings? Are you thinking about retirement? Are you going to spend your retirement money on law school? Those are things that you have to really think about because law school is not cheap. Getting a loan and repaying it, not cheap. Especially trying to figure out if you're going to be approved for a loan, because a lot of times they give loans to younger kids, in their 20s going to law school because they know they've got so many years to pay it off. But you might end up paying higher rates, getting a loan to go to law school when you're over 40. So that's another consideration, financial. And another factor to consider is, how are you going to adapt to being back in an academic environment? I mean, I talk to people all the time that say, I can't believe I graduated high school. I can't believe I graduated college. I could never do that again. Thinking about going back into an academic environment really could be earth-shattering for some people. So you have to take that into consideration too. How are you going to do back in school, and what is that going to look like? You're going to have professors, you're going to have classmates. And how do you feel about that? How do you feel about having homework? How do you feel about studying? Is it something that you are really focused on? You know, what happens when a weekend comes up and you have to read and brief cases and do research or write a legal brief? Are you really, really willing to commit that time to do that? So that's another factor that you have to think about. Now let's talk about career opportunities when you're over 40. If you've got a job where you know that going to law school is going to help you get promoted within your company or make more money, that's an easy, career outlook decision for you to make. But what if you have the lifelong dream of being a lawyer, right? And now you've decided that you're going to go to law school and you're going to fulfill your dream. What does your career outlook look like? Deciding to go to law school at 40, let's just say, and let's say you go at night, so that's a 4-year program. Now you come out and you're looking for a job. You are going to be 44 years old, never having practiced law and trying to get a job at a law firm where 9 times out of 10, they're going to want to bring in either a younger person because they can pay them less, or a senior person who has a book of business or knows what they're doing so that they can hit the ground running. It often becomes a challenge for somebody that's in their 40s, now looking for a job for the first time. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, because it's not a done deal. You can certainly go out and get a job. You just have to be willing to make some sacrifices. And it works best if you've got a significant other or a spouse who's on the same page with you and willing to put in maybe the extra work to allow you to live your dream. The other thing to think about is that you can go to law school and you don't necessarily need to be a lawyer. You can get your graduate degree, your JD, and oftentimes you can find a really high-paying, rewarding job with just your JD. You don't necessarily need to take the bar exam. You don't necessarily have to be a litigator or a trial attorney. You don't have to take depositions. You don't have to go to court. You can use your JD to boost your career and do things within the legal field that don't require you to be a licensed attorney. There's plenty of jobs out there where the employer is looking for a JD. They're not necessarily looking for a lawyer. They don't want somebody that has passed the bar. They just want somebody that understands the legal concepts. Oftentimes you see this in compliance jobs and things of that nature. So don't necessarily think that if you go to law school, you have to be a practicing attorney and you have to take the bar exam. You can still benefit by just having your JD. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this video. I'm going to do a few additional videos. I'm gonna talk about what it's like to go to law school, especially after 40, what you have to expect, how to get into law school, the bar exam. We're gonna talk about that, but I wanna break it up into smaller videos so that I don't make you sit here and watch a 40-minute video. So we're gonna break it up. And as those videos come out, I'll go back and I'll put links to those videos. All right, have any questions, put them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you next time.
I've been trying to find my way. Take me by the hand.